audio system today, and you got to let me know if it sounds good. Also, you got to let me know, are you a vegan? Yes, I'm vegan, or no, I'm not vegan. Just so we can keep an eye on who's coming in the chat. There we go. So now the poll's up. Get voting, guys. Get voting. So yeah, who's a vegan? Who's not a vegan? It's always a good start, so we know who's who. And today, as we do with these streams, I'm going to be responding to the chat live. Going to be answering your questions. If you have any questions, ask questions. That's what we're here for. If you want to say something mean, that's fine, but just say it in a question, because then I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, see how that looks. Because that's what we're here for. We're here to I'm here to answer questions from you guys. So ask them. Especially looking to answer questions from non-vegans, from meat eaters, as what we don't want here today is a little vegan circle jerk. I don't even know what's like a more scientific way of putting that. Like, what's like a more, is there like a real thing to say instead of circle jerk? And circle jerk feels a bit crude, doesn't it? There must be a different word to be used other than that one, right? Must be. But anyway, if someone comes up with a better one, then just let me know. But so far, we'll just stick with circle jerk. That's not what we want. We don't want a circle jerk, guys. All right. Chat's up. I see we got chat going on already. I see Kevin's here. What's up, Kevin? What's up, Yokic? Annie, our moderator's here. Kevin again is also here again. Dorothy's here. JP Julia, what's up? Don't Use and Carter Girl and David Iruya. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing here? I hope you're all having a good one. And yeah, we have an opportunity today to get some questions in, some questions about veganism from non-vegans, which is like the main reason we're here. A lot of meat eaters come to these streams and they ask lots of questions, and that's very good, obviously, because then we get to answer them together. So that's pretty cool. Veg90, what is going on? I see there's a question already from Carter Girl. So as we're waiting for meat eaters to come in and start asking questions, I'll answer questions from a couple questions from you guys. Carter Girl's asking, I'm an abolitionist vegan who wants to work in activism, but all the jobs are welfareist. What do you think about taking on these roles? I think, look, if obviously anyone who is an actual bloody, defender of animals should be abolitionist. And what that means is to be abolitionist. It means that you want an end to all of the animal violence. You want an end to animal agriculture. You want it to come to an end. Abolition. You want abolition. You don't just want better conditions for animals. You want animals to not be going through this, full stop, right? I think it's obviously I believe that is the right way to be, but there's no good amount of animal abuse, because it's animal abuse. It's all wrong, right? Just like there's no good amount of any human abuse. It's all wrong, isn't it? Okay. So that being said, though, the way to getting rid of all of these problems can, because of the way the world sets up, where 99% of people support these things, one of the roads to get us along that path can be by working with welfareists, people who want to improve the conditions of animals. Now, but that should never be the end goal, in my opinion. The end goal should never be to improve their conditions. The end goal should be to make it stop. But along the way to making it stop, if you improve the conditions, that costs farmers money, makes it more difficult for them to operate, which is only a good thing. It puts more farmers into different businesses, like they shift somewhere else. Maybe they move into growing mushrooms. Maybe they move into growing something else instead of killing animals, breeding and killing animals. So it's up to you. It's an individual decision as to whether or not you go work for an organization that's on welfareism with an abolitionist mindset. It's better than working in a cafe or working for a call center or just some people who don't care about animals. I'd say it's significantly better than wasting your time doing that. At least you're doing something for animals when you work for one of these organizations. So, but it's up to you. You'd have to figure it out yourself. You have to decide for yourself, I think. But good question. Appreciate it. And all right, let's have a look. Guys, who have we got in today? I see you've got 53 votes on the poll, and it looks about, wow, 43% not vegan. Interesting. Guys who are not vegan, especially, I want to hear what you have to say and ask some questions. All right? If you just make statements, I may not respond to them. If you ask questions, then we can answer your questions. I'm here for it, okay? For example, Patrick has just told us all that he likes steak or loves steak. See, that's not a question, Patrick. There's not really anywhere I can go with that. You're just saying something that you enjoy. you know how that's not useful. So try again, Patrick, and ask a question, and you can tag me in, and I'll try. See, Patrick. No, you're saying I love steak and chicken. Now that's not. See, no one really cares what you like. It's not about that. But you feel free to ask a question, and for the time being, I'll remain polite. And but ask a question, okay? That's what we're here for. You can ask a question. Maybe ask a question like, why don't vegans love steak and chicken? That's an interesting question. Now I could answer that one. Should I answer that one for you? I'll answer that one for you, Patrick. Why don't vegans love steak and chicken? Well, as it happens, Patrick, vegans do actually eat foods that taste and look and feel a lot like steak and chicken. So actually, in a way, vegans do love steak and chicken. Texture, the flavor. I mean, it tastes good, feels good in the mouth, right? That's what it's all about. But so how we differ from you is that we don't agree with stabbing animals in the neck to get steak and chicken, right? So that's why we use other things instead. We use alternatives that you can get seitan, for example, which is a very meaty alternative made out of gluten, and you can make it taste the same as steak, make it taste the same as chicken, and it's not far off. And there's lots and lots of things coming out day by day that are even better and better. So we don't think it's right to stab an animal in the throat because we like how they taste, so we look for something else. So yeah, if you were to ask that question, that's the answer I would give you, for example. So guys, ask some questions. Rami says, good name, by the way. David Rami, get it? Non-vegan here. Realistically, do you foresee a vegan world in your lifetime? Rami, that's a good question, mate. And I personally don't foresee it in my lifetime, no, because these things, it takes a lot of people and it takes a lot of time to make these things normal, right? For example, we've only really in the West kind of just got a handle on racism, right? Racism was very normal up until very recently. And only that it's taken a very long time to get that out of people's systems and to have parents teach their kids to not be racist. And then, the system to actually punish people socially. People are punished for it socially for being racist. Maybe not by law, but society says, hey, you can't do that. You're a bad person. Don't do that, right? We all collectively come together and we condemn people who do and say horrible things to other people, right? Now, when it comes to animals, unfortunately, people are born every day and they're being taught, hey, the dog's for loving and the cat's for loving, but the cows and the chickens and all these other animals and pigs, you like them? Yeah, but we're going to kill them and eat them. And that's totally fine. That's what kids are being taught every day. So this needs to change. And it starts with people like you, actually, Rami. People like you who ask the question like, oh, okay, let me learn about veganism. Let me learn about animals. And it starts with people like you saying, you know what? I don't think it's okay what we do to animals. I think it's wrong. I'm going to be a vegan from today. And then when you have a family, you teach your kids, you say, hey, look, the rest of the world sees animals as things that we can just stab and hurt and do what we want with. But me and our family, we don't. No, we don't believe in that. We actually believe that animals deserve to not be stabbed and to not be hurt and to not be, have anything horrible happen to them, bred and mutilated by farmers. And no, we're against that in our family. And then you teach your kids that, and then the hope is that they would go out into the world and talk to their friends and then influence other people. But this is it's going to take many generations of this for us to get to a point where the whole world is saying, hey, do you know what? We shouldn't do this to animals anymore. So I don't think we'll see that in my lifetime, but I am one of the people right now in 2024. I'm trying to build the foundation for those future generations who will work to make this happen, Rami. So thank you again, mate. That's a great question. And I hope you're going to join me here in 2024, being one of those people who tries to build the foundation for that world. That's going to happen, hopefully happen a little bit after we're gone, you know? Okay, what else we got? You guys popping up. One header asks, is this guy serious? Yes, I am serious. I'm a vegan. I've been vegan for around 14 years. I was raised a vegetarian and vegan for 14 years. And of course I'm serious. The way we view animals is disgraceful. It's disgusting. And it will change. It will change, just as in all these other groups of humans and how we've treated other people in the past, who were, by the way, some groups of humans were treated worse than animals in the past, and now we don't tolerate that in many parts of the world, in most of the world. I think that's also going to happen for animals too. Hey there, Click Decision asks, hey there, what can you tell me about the dairy industry in India? I have some friends who are convinced the cows all live good lives. I have worked in India. I spent about 12 months or so working in India, specifically exposing farms in India, dairy farms mostly. And I can tell you that dairy farms in India are just as disgraceful as dairy farms in the West. The cow is supposed to be God in India, but it's just a gimmick. Even the Hindus who are supposed to have the cow as their God, they sell the cows off to the Muslims, and the Muslims slaughter them in different states. They send them to different states. They even send them to different countries. They send them over the border to get the cows slaughtered because money's more important to them than their apparent God. So, yeah, don't fall for the nonsense that comes out of India. India is not good to cows. India is terrible to cows. There are cows all over the streets starving to death. There are cows getting hit by trains and hit by cars because there's so many of them out there. They don't look after them. No animal industry, no farmer, no animal industry looks after their animals. All they do is get as much money out of them as possible, and then when they can't get any more money out of them alive, they either kick them out to the curb. In India, they throw them out on the streets, or they sell them just like everywhere else in the world. They sell them to a slaughterhouse or sell them to somebody who will kill them and make money from them. This is how it works, the world over, and India is no exception. Thank you for the question, and I'm sorry to burst your bubble there, but trust me, you spend a bit more time in India and get out of the tourist areas, and you start to see the truth of India. How they treat animals is just disgusting as anywhere else. Sprinkle, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sprinkle. Did you say something? You said thank you. Hey, thank you, Sprinkle. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, legend. So yeah, no, terrible. One hit is saying none of the meat substitutes are even comparable in terms of nutrition, price, availability. Not to mention your body doesn't know what to do with most of these food items being used in fake meats. And one hater, that's not true at all. The health outcomes, as in the actual outcomes of people eating plant-based, vegan, and eating animal-based, that you can build muscle on either. Plant-based protein is perfectly fine, including meat substitutes like, for example, soy. Soy is a meat substitute, and they found that muscle growth with soy or muscle growth with whey protein there's no significant difference between the two with training. So that's not true. What you've said there is not true. The idea that your body doesn't know what to do with most of these, that doesn't make any sense. Your body digests food, and these things are made of mostly plants. So of course your body can digest plants. Price and availability, that's you definitely, that depends on where you are in the world. In terms of the specialist vegan alternative items, yeah, they can be expensive and not as available, but the most inexpensive and the most available items in every supermarket are plant-based foods. So for example, chickpeas, lentils, beans, rice, these are things you can find in every single supermarket, and you can make your own plant-based alternatives. You can make your own vegan alternatives very easily. You can make bean burgers. You can make, plant-based chili. You can make wraps. You can do everything. If you don't have the means to buy the fancy vegan food, or you don't have the availability of the fancy vegan food, you can just make your own. And this is what vegans did. I mean, the first ever vegans were in like 1940 something. So, if they could do it in 1940, you can do it now. You know what I'm saying? People were healthy eating plant-based vegan from the 1940s. Yeah. So, yeah. Again, I'll respond one more time to Juanita just to put this to bed. But he says, not to mention all these vegan food items take twice as much water, and you have to kill twice as many pests just to grow this stuff. Wrong and wrong again. The idea that they take twice as much water is absolute, complete, and utter nonsense. The largest consumption of water for food goes through animals. Animals need to consume a significant amount more water themselves, and the animals are eating crops, plant food, that also needs to be watered and grown. So there's not a chance in hell that eating plant-based diet uses more water. That's complete nonsense. And as for killing twice as many pests, again, when you're eating animal products that come from animals, yes, animal flesh, animal milk, animal eggs, those animals also need to be fed, right? So you need to grow all this food to feed those animals, of which there are like 80 billion of them per year minimum, okay? Which means that you need to protect those crops from pests, yes? Think about, if you're talking about pest protection, think about how many more crops you need to protect for animals versus humans. We're only 8 billion humans versus 80 billion animals. The short answer is, if you care about crop deaths, like animals dying because farmers protect their crops, most crops are eaten by the animals that are then killed and eaten by the humans. So if you care about that, you would be a vegan. Hey, Dominic Smith. Thank you for the super chat, mate. It says, hi, David. What's your favorite animal that Western society sees as food? By favorite, I just mean in terms of finding them interesting or have had wonderful interactions with, etc. Thank you, Dominic. That's a really nice question. For me, absolutely my favorite animal, and you shouldn't have favorites, but my favorite animal that people want to eat for some reason are goats. I love goats. Goats are the most interesting animals I think I've ever met. I've never met a boring goat. Never in my life. They're hilarious. They're so random. They're just crazy. You go and spend time. Just go and find some goats and just sit and watch them. You will have the best time. You'll have the best time watching them because they're just super entertaining. They never stop. They never stop moving around, and they're always interested in stuff. And mm, love goats. Goats are awesome. Cheers again for the question, mate. Calvin, thanks for the super chat, man. Hey, brother. Hope you're having a rad bank holiday. I didn't even know it was a bank holiday, honestly. But no, I hope you are too. I know in the UK, back when I used to live in the UK, bank holidays were a big deal. But since doing this work, every day is a work day for me. It's like, so I don't know when it's the weekend. I don't know when it's a bank holiday because it's all work for me. I take the moments off when I get them and they land randomly. So, but yeah, appreciate that, Calvin. Hope you're having a good one, mate, with the new baby. Hope you guys having a nice bank holiday. What have we got? What have we got, guys? Ask some questions, guys. Meat eaters in the chat. I know you guys are in here. There's 35% of you in here that are meat eaters. Meat eaters, ask some questions for us, all right? Alexander's asking, hi David, one question. Do you know something about sun gazing and being able to not eat anything for a long period of times? You only drink water, so no suffering to animals and plants alike. So Alex, I'll tell you that the people who claim they can do that, Alex, the people who claim they can do that, there was one very famous guy who said he doesn't eat, he only absorbs the sun. And they sent a film crew to follow him around so he could prove it. And he had around, I believe it was 30 to 45 minutes a day of meditation time where the film crew wasn't allowed to follow him because of his need for the meditation. So yeah, let's be honest. In that 30 to 45 minutes, he was drinking something, he was eating something, of course. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't exist. This whole sun gazing thing is complete nonsense. No one's ever been able to prove it. It's another one of those. I recommend to you guys if you want to watch some scams get exposed, go and check out Darren Brown. Darren Brown. So he's an illusionist and he has actually exposed a lot of these people who claim to be psychics, who claim they have x ray vision. He literally is a YouTube series. You can go watch them all on YouTube and he exposes all of them. I'd love for him to expose the sun gazers too. Maybe that's something he could do. Very funny. Very, very funny. All right, what have we got? Ask some questions, guys. Yogic says, maybe ask David to let you into the call so you can talk about it. You're saying Indian vegans are lying. Honest question. Why? Who's lying, Yogic? Who's saying that I'm not telling the truth? Yeah, if you've got a question, ask the question. It's fine by me. Yeah, breatharians is another scam grift. That's right. Tony. Anyway, you are right. It is a scam. It is a grift. 100%. 100%. Crocoshark, I'm not vegan, but I'll have to think of a question. Crocoshark, hey, you're in the right place, mate. You're in the right place to ask questions. Go for it. Fuck you, vegans. Yeah, my question after a statement. I don't care what you do, what your philosophy is. What should you care about my life, my philosophy? How does it affect you? Good question. Your username is unreasonable, but your question is good. So I'll answer it reasonably. I'll be reasonable back to you. So okay, let's go one by one. You say you don't care what I do. That's you don't care what my philosophy is. That's fine. But if what I did and my philosophy harmed you or someone you cared about, you would care then, wouldn't you? Right. So, for example, if one member of your family was harmed by my philosophy and what I do, then you would care. And if that member of your family were an animal, let's imagine you had an animal in your home that you cared for, like a dog or a cat or a hamster, and my philosophy and what I do was threatening them, then you would care what I do, wouldn't you? Right? So this gives you a bit of an idea as to why I do care about your life and your philosophy, because I don't only care about the animals that I have in my home, I care about animals, right? Just the same as I don't only care about my immediate family, I care about the suffering of other humans too, which is why I try to do other things for humans. Like I go out feed the homeless, or I go find homeless people and sit and have a chat with them. I will that's one of the things I do. I've donated to human charities before as well, like human rights charities and things like that. I've done bits and bobs of volunteer work for children in other countries to raise money and stuff. The reason I do that is because I don't only care about my wife and my mum and dad. I care about other humans too. And I'm exactly the same about animals. I don't only care about the dog in my home. I care about the cows and the pigs and the chickens that are having their throats slashed open so somebody can eat their bodies just because they like the taste, right? So that's why I care about your life. I care about you. I care about your philosophy because I also believe that other people like you, even including you, I believe that you are against animal abuse too, and that you also don't think it's right that people are cruel to animals, that people hurt animals. So I'm not trying to change your mind and make you think that. You already think that. I'm trying to get you to live in the way that makes sense with that. I'm trying to convince you to say, hey, do you know what? I do care about animals, so I'm not going to pay people to hurt them and stab them for burgers. I'm actually going to do something different. I'm going to be a vegan. That's my aim. That's what I'm out here for. So I don't know why your username is fuck yous vegans, but I don't think what I've said is unreasonable. If it is, then you could come back and you could ask another question, and I'll ask a follow up and I'll answer it. But I feel like this is pretty reasonable, you know. You're saying I'm deflecting, dude. Like I literally broke down your question statement by statement and answered every point of it. How the hell is that deflecting? This is it's very strange with the trolls here. I mean, you guys come in and ask questions, and then you can't handle the answers, so you attack the messenger. You can feel free to ask follow up questions. You don't need to start attacking. You don't need to get upset by the answer. If there's something you think I said that is wrong, just type it in the chat saying this part I don't agree with. Here's why I don't agree. What do you think? And I'll answer you back. Like we can keep going back and forth. It's totally fine, guys. Okay. Um, Okay, Jin Ryu says, well, in the process of getting vegetables and vegan stuff, do animals get hurt? Obviously, that can happen. That can happen with driving a car. That can happen with absolutely everything you do in life. Unfortunately, yeah, a lot of the vegetable farmers and crop farmers, they may use chemicals. They may go out with guns and shoot animals to protect their crops. That's something that needs to change, 100%. But it's not going to change before animal agriculture stops. So we're not going to be able to convince crop farmers to stop shooting animals while people pay other farmers to shoot animals in the head and slit their throats for burgers. You know what I mean? So that's why with the vegans, we that is absolutely on the list of things that we need to talk about. But it's after we've finished focusing on animal agriculture because we're talking about the for example, the crops grown for vegans, to vegans and vegetarians to eat, is about, I don't even know if I was to guess, probably less than 1% of the world's crops that are grown, because the rest of the crops are grown to feed animals and to feed meat eaters. So for vegans and vegetarians to focus on trying to change the crop system for this tiny 1% that we eat, it's not going to happen. First off, there needs to be a mass movement to stop what we're doing to all these other animals in animal agriculture, and then we shift our focus and move on to improving crop agriculture and the impact that that has. To do that one before the other, it would be a strange thing. It would be like there's a serial killer running rampant going out there, and instead of focusing on the serial killer, we focus on these people who are dying because of bad working conditions. It's like, well, no, the serial killer's obviously the priority, and then we figure out the other stuff, which is very important, but we figure it out once we've dealt with the serial killer because this is very urgent for us to deal with first. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Jinryu's asking a follow up question. So this is what you do. So you do a follow up question. You see, so the fuck yous vegans guy. You need to follow Jinryu's example here. So he's able to answer. He's able to come back and ask a follow up question because he's reasonable, not being a silly Billy. You know. But he says, how would you go about changing that? By the way, I'm just asking questions. No shade, bro. Not a vegan, but I respect it. Thanks, Jinryu. Changing crop agriculture, you mean? There are people out there who are significantly smarter than me when it comes to crop agriculture, who they talk about veganic farming, they talk about vertical farming. I personally know a little bit about it, but I'm not the guy to give you the answers to this because this is currently not my focus. My focus, this will be one day, I hope, but not right now. But if you want to look into vertical farming and you want to look into veganic farming, do some research on those. You'll be able to find some people who have devoted their life to that already, actually. That should give you the answers that you need. But yeah, there are ways and they are being discussed. Also, technology is going to get us a long way as well because obviously there's lab-based and cell-based products now coming just from a lab, right? Which sounds scary, but at the end of the day, it's better than a slaughterhouse, right? It's better than all the blood, the guts, and the violence. So, yeah, the lab-based stuff is also probably going to change things. Technology in general is going to revolutionize the food system overall, which is what I is a good thing. Technology is revolutionizing everything in lots of ways. Sometimes good, sometimes but it's unstoppable, isn't it? So the food system will be there'll be more technology as time goes on, which will make these problems easier to deal with as well. Dorothy, thank you for the super chat. What's your take as a vegan buying, paying for meat to feeding wildlife which are trapped in a city and cannot feed themselves? What do I think about buying meat to feed wildlife trapped in a city and can't feed themselves? I personally wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it simply because wildlife, so like wildlife, people who care about wildlife, people who go out and donate to wildlife funds and do all this kind of stuff, those people exist and they're mostly not vegan and they get a lot of money. There's a lot of money in wildlife trusts, a lot of money in conservation. There's a lot of money in that, and they don't need my help. I personally would simply say like it's not my area. I'm not going to buy meat for those animals. I'm not going to get involved in that whole sector because farmed animals and farmed animal charities get the least amount of funding and the least amount of support and the least amount of activists out of practically every single charity on earth. So for me, it would not make sense for me to apply any of my focus or any of my money or anything in that area. That being said, it's you're probably asking me on an ethical basis. I'm not really, to be totally honest with you, Dorothy, I'm not really massively interested in getting into that topic on a like a moral basis, because you're gonna have to get into moral philosophy and stuff. And it's just, I'm telling you in a practical sense, I wouldn't do it basically, and I wouldn't recommend vegans do it either, because like I said, there are lots of people out there who have nothing to do with the animal rights movement who go out and fight to save wildlife. So let them keep doing that, and we'll keep doing what we do because we're the only ones doing what we do. And I think that's really important. It's important for us to stand for farmed animals because really, there really is nobody else. If we don't do it, nobody else does it, and I think that's really important. Mark, thank you for the super chat, mate. Thank you, bro. You're doing the heavy lifting, David. Thank you. One day animals will be free. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Thank you, Mark. You're 100% right, mate. And this is what a message for everybody in here right now who's currently not a vegan, who's thinking, will it make a difference? Will me going vegan ever change anything? And what's the point? Why are you a vegan, David? You're not going to make any difference, right? People have said that about so many different things. Can you imagine the first person to stand up back in whenever it was and to say, hey, you know what? I think women deserve the right to vote. At one point, only one person believed that, and there was no movement. At one point, and just pick any human issue. At one point, there was one human who stood up and said, I think this is wrong. And they had no backup. And then they built back up and built back up. And then they started, movements. They started oceans, right, of movement. And one drop, and then many drops built the ocean, right? So this is you guys are all part of that too. You guys are all drops that make up an ocean, and never underestimate the impact you can have by the way you live and what you say. Your words have meaning and they have impact. Never underestimate that ever. Don't play yourself down. Don't beat yourself up. Don't tell yourself that, oh, I'll never make a difference. It's difficult because the whole world is against vegans. It feels like that sometimes, but yeah, this is how it always is in the beginning of any movement, right? And as it happens, I mean, there are a lot of vegans now. There are a lot more than there used to be, for sure, and that number's only going to keep growing, which is good. And so yeah, just keep going and don't be put off, don't be dissuaded, guys. Keishia is asking, if you only have 1 minute to turn somebody vegan, what would you ask or tell them? The problem with that question, it's a good question, thanks Keisha. The problem with it is it would largely depend on the person. But if I had no idea who this person was and they just said, oh, you've got 1 minute to tell me why I should be vegan, I would say you should be vegan for the reason that you're against animal cruelty. If you're not against animal cruelty, then there's no point in us even having the discussion. But I'd assume that you are against animal cruelty because I'd assume that you're not some kind of evil person, some kind of horrible person. So let's base on that. You're against animal cruelty, and so am I. The difference is I stopped paying for animal cruelty directly. I stopped buying products that come from stabbing animals, shooting animals, gassing animals for my taste pleasure. And unfortunately, most of the world, even though they're against animal cruelty, they still do all those things just so they can get something that tastes good. We don't need these things for health. We don't need these things to live healthy, normal lives. And we know that now for sure. So the only reason that we're doing it is because we like the taste. Well, then, if someone's doing that, then they're clearly not against animal cruelty, or they just didn't know. And now you do know. So make that change and actually be against animal cruelty. And let's not do this to these animals anymore. These animals are innocent, defenseless. They have the same understanding of the world as a human child. They don't really know what's going on. And they're just as vulnerable as a human child. So we should protect them in the way that we would protect a human child. At the minimum, we shouldn't be hurting them the same way we wouldn't hurt a human child. And that's yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think. And people, they get upset because you go, you're comparing them to humans. It's like, you know, people get upset with making statements like that. But it's an objective fact that animals view the world and experience the world in a similar way to human children, right? They don't understand fully what's going on, and they are completely defenseless to us, just the same way children are. And they're completely innocent as well, just the same way children are. So, that's just objectively true. And the biggest difference between them is a child, people would throw themselves, they would throw themselves on a fire to save a child, but the animal that has all those same qualities as a child, they say, oh, because they're weak, because they're vulnerable, because they can't stop me, that's why I'm going to hurt them, that's why I'm going to eat them. It's sadistic, right? And that's how farmers get away with it. That's because they've chosen the most docile, the most defenseless, the most simple to control animals, and they're the ones they farm. And they're the ones that they can trick into going into a slaughterhouse. They're the ones they can, maneuver and manipulate and mutilate. It's horrible. It's truly horrible. Meebop asks, I'm currently eating meat, but I'm looking to change. Could you explain veganism to me? So, Meebop, basically, mate, veganism is a stance against animal cruelty. It's a stance against being violent to animals. So, what you do is when you become a vegan, you're already against animal abuse, I'm sure, and animal cruelty. When you become a vegan, you start to make these big changes to stop paying for animal cruelty and stop paying for violence to animals, right? So first things first, you take away all the food, all the food from animal violence. Take away the meat, take away the eggs, take away the dairy, take away all the animal products, because every single animal product comes from violence to animals. Okay, in the meat industry, you know what they do to animals. They're shooting them and gassing them, slitting their throats. In the dairy industry, they're manipulating and mutilating the bodies of cows to make them have as many babies as possible. They're injecting them with all sorts of antibiotics and hormones. They're taking their babies away from them, and they're killing their babies, or they're raising their babies to do the same thing to them. Okay, and then they're killing the mothers as soon as they stop producing milk. Okay, shooting them in the head, slitting their throats. Dairy industry is a complete disgrace, disgusting. The egg industry is very similar to the dairy industry in that they kill the male chicks within a couple minutes of being alive. They take the females and they they raise them so they can keep laying eggs. They lay like 300 eggs a year. It destroys their bodies. They can barely walk. And when their egg production starts to decline, they send them to a slaughterhouse where they're dunked in electrified water and they'll slit their throats too. So those are the main three food groups that people eat every day: meat, dairy, eggs, all from animal violence. So we, instead of consuming those things, we eat other things instead. We get our nutrition, we get our protein, we get our everything from plant-based sources, which you can get all of. The only thing that you'd need to take a little supplement for would be vitamin B12. Vitamin B12, by the way, the animals that you would be eating now, they are also given a supplement in their food. So the animals you're eating, they had a B12 tablet in their food, and then you're eating them for that B12 vitamin. It makes no bloody sense. Take the vitamin yourself and don't kill an animal for a B12, right? So aside from B12, you can get all of the other nutrition, no problem at all. Go to challenge22.com, challenge22.com that is. They will give you all the advice you need, everything you need to start off with the nutrition side of veganism, and you can get all that. It's completely free, completely free. So I highly recommend challenge22.com. Now, outside of food, now we said what veganism is. We're against animal abuse. We're against animal cruelty. So of course, then that means the simple thing like you probably never do this anyway, but don't go and abuse animals. Don't kick dogs, right? Don't torture any animal. Simple stuff, right? But also don't pay anybody else to torture animals. Don't pay anybody else to do that. Don't go to bullfighting or running with the bulls, or don't go to the greyhound races where they force dogs to race, or horse racing where they whip horses and force them to sprint, where they have heart attacks and they get injured, and then they kill them because they get injured. Animal sports. Don't support these horrible people that do these horrible things to animals in the name of sport, for example. Um, look into any companies that are currently testing on animals. Don't support companies that test on animals. There are loads of them for like L'Oreal. I think what's the another huge one. There's basically, when it comes to cosmetics and shampoos and things like that, double check these companies. A lot of them test on animals today, continuously testing cosmetics on animals. Can you believe that? Disgusting. So you got to look into that as well. So I'm just giving you the beginnings of what it means to be a vegan, and why we don't support these things. Obviously, because we're against doing these horrible things to animals. I hope that helps answer your question. I tried to give you it was pretty long, but I tried to give you like a good start off, you know what I mean? But yeah, beginning challenge22.com is definitely the right place to kick things off for you. I highly recommend that. Thanks for the question. Booby asks, do you believe in Jesus? Sure, yeah, I believe Jesus was an incredibly inspirational man who said a lot of incredible things and inspirational things. And actually, if you want to know, Jesus was actually very much a person who defended animals. You should watch the new documentary, Christspiracy. Watch this. It's called Christspiracy, guys. It's coming out very soon, and this will blow you away. It's basically about Jesus. It's about things that were hidden about Jesus. For 2,000 years, they've been hiding some truth about Jesus and what Jesus felt about animals and what he did to support and defend animals. So definitely go and watch that movie if you're a Christian. If you believe in Jesus, find out more about Jesus, because there is a lot more you need to learn, and I learned that recently. Thanks for the question, mate. All right, I'm gonna have a little drink while I let you guys ask some questions. Meat eaters, we've got 53% meat eaters in here. Dominic Smith, thanks for the super chat, mate. Do you think animal welfareists can sometimes do more harm than good? Humane washing animal agriculture and presenting animal rights as extreme. Do you think more debates and open discussions with them? So yeah, for sure. So this is a complicated topic, and we got a lot of meat eaters in here. So I'm thank you for the super chat. I'll give you a short answer. A longer answer would be in a future video, okay? But I'll give you the short answer now. For sure they can. Some of these groups definitely do more harm than good, I think, especially by undermining animal rights. Not good. I agree. There is more to that answer. There is another side of all of this. I think debates and open discussions with them is a great idea. But there are tactics at play that requires a long video and possibly even a podcast with one of the people that works with one of these companies, which I'll do for you soon, mate. Well, Dominic, I've got it's on my agenda of things to do. All right, mate. We'll definitely get that sorted soon. Great question, and thank you again. Appreciate it. What have we got, guys? Meat eaters in the chat. Where are the questions? Give me some questions, meat eaters, about animals, about veganism. All right, I'll do my best to answer for you. I'm just glancing through now. Put my name as well, David Rams, so I can get to it. Okay. Right. Jin Ryu says, well, if you think about it, if we were under rule from a much more intelligent species and did this to us, we would hate them too. Yeah, this is now you're getting it, Jin Ryu. Now you're getting it. Absolutely, we would hate it. And the difference being, though, if a more intelligent species was doing this to us, see, we are aware of our surroundings. We actually have a pretty good understanding of our world and our environment. So we'd know what was happening, and we'd have a good chance at retaliating, right? Even if they were more intelligent, we could form a resistance and rebel, right? But the animals, they have the same understanding of the world as little kids, little children, like babies in some cases. So they are completely and utterly hopeless against us. And instead of treating them and caring for them and saying, hey, do you know what? You are hopeless against me, so I'm going to look after you. The farmers, they say, you are hopeless against me, so I'm going to use you. I'm going to abuse your body and I'm going to kill you and make money off of you. It's disgusting. It's absolutely, honestly, it is just like such a high level of disgraceful. It's hard to even put it into words. I don't have the vocabulary to put it into words. It's horrendous. Natasha, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you. You're a great advocate. Hey, thank you. I'm doing my best. There's a lot of legends in here. I know I spotted a lot of the vegan usernames in here. Do a lot of good, hard, heavy lifting in the live chats that I've been in. So I appreciate all of you as well, guys. And you're doing a great job today. Please keep it up. Get the chat going. If anyone that asks anything or says anything silly in the chat, vegans, and you spot it, then just at them, tag them, and say, hey, ask a question, and then see if you can get them asking a question, because it's all good and well making statements, but it's nicer if they ask a question. We've got Viable saying, it's called survival of the fittest. I suppose you meant to say survival of the fittest. No, mate, going to Tesco's and Sainsbury's and buying, from a supermarket, whatever you want, is not survival of the fittest. You cannot rest on the laurels of your ancestors, mate. Like, because your ancestors somehow survived, that doesn't mean you get to continue doing what they did because that they survived. Like, yeah, maybe our ancestors did shoot animals or whatever with bow and arrows, or like whatever they did to kill animals. But that doesn't mean that you can do that because they did that. I mean, they did lots of things that you don't do now. They didn't have Wi-Fi or houses, right? But you do. So it doesn't make sense to say that survival of the fittest is the reason that I will continue to go stab animals. I mean, those people, those humans, our ancestors, probably did a lot of fighting with each other too, bashing each other's heads in with rocks and stuff like that over territory and stuff. Who knows, right? But that doesn't mean you should go and do that now. Because survival of the fittest, right? Our ancestors were like fighting with each other, so maybe I should too. It's a bit silly. Cyantan's asking a question about protein, and I'm sorry, that's not the place. This isn't the place for that. You better go into somewhere like maybe go and check out Hench Herbivore. If you've got questions about losing weight or whatever and health related stuff, there's a YouTuber called Hench Herbivore. He'd be your best bet for that because he actually is a nutritionist, a vegan nutritionist. So you should go check him out. Ostamaza22 is asking me, do you consider yourself an animal abuser or a murderer? I'm definitely not a murderer. And no, I don't consider it's a trick question. Just get to the question you want to ask. I know the answer to me, I don't consider myself an animal abuser or a murderer. I'm assuming you've got a follow up to that, like you leading me down some path. That's fine. Pop it in the chat. Let's get to the point. Let's keep looking. Bob, mate, that's a question that's like very. I don't have the answer to you when you're asking about that sentientism, veganism, rights issue, humans no longer exploit. I don't have an answer to you, a short answer at least for you. That's more of like a podcast question, and I'm going to try not to get bogged down in like the weeds because it's not very entertaining or interesting for people who are not vegan, meat eaters who are just generally popping in, and that's what I'm really here for. Because I know there's a lot of meat eaters in here right now, 57% of you, and I know for sure that about 90% of you probably don't appreciate hardcore philosophical, mumbo jumbo. So we're not going to get into that. I'm going to keep it simple. Going to keep answering your questions. Ask me questions, guys. But if they get into the weeds, we're not going to do it. All right. Jinryu Legend, thanks for subscribing, mate. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the team. Good to have you here. Daniel, interesting question, Daniel Barber. Do you think animals have souls? So as far as I understand, the soul is more of a religious thing, right? And so it's more of like related to God, and did God give animals souls and stuff like that. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you if the soul even exists. Full stop. I just, for me to say I know, then I'd be lying to you because nobody really knows. You know what I mean? Nobody really knows if even humans have a soul. All that matters to me when it comes to animals is that they have a subjective experience, which means they feel pain and pleasure, they feel hot and cold, they are happy, they're sad, they have preferences, they have dislikes, they have personalities. There's little people inside animals, okay? Each of them's like a little person, and yeah, maybe they're more simplistic than us, more advanced humans. They might mentally more simplistic, but then so are children, right? That's all that matters to me. Whether they have a soul or not is not important to me. What's important to me is that they deserve the same right to not be hit and stabbed and burned and gassed and all these things as the same right as you deserve to not that have that not happen to you, right? And if people were doing this to you, if people were putting you in farms and putting and doing all these horrible things to you and taking you to slaughterhouses, I'd be fighting for you as well, mate. Right? That's what I think is important. Um, Tofu tastes salty. Yeah, it can do if you've got tofu that's been prepared with salt. mm. Bob's asking, should veganism be a choice or should we all be forced by the government to go vegan? Well, there was a part in history where murder was a choice, and then the government decided, no, that's not allowed. Why did that come about? Well, probably because the majority of people said, hey, we think murder should be something that the government stops. I don't know the history of why murder became illegal, but I'm assuming some point in history, most people were like, do you know what? Let's make murder illegal, right? I think at some point in the future, do I think that the majority of people would come together and say, do you know what? Let's make eating animals illegal? Maybe. Maybe they would. Do I think that's something that's going to happen today? And is it something that I would try to make happen today? No, because I would probably get killed, right? Every vegan in the world would probably get hung if we tried to make eating meat illegal in 2024. I think in the future that there will be people, like I said, most people will want that, and that's when it could happen. So it's a silly thing to even imagine right now because it would be just as ridiculous to say like, oh yeah, let's make meat illegal now as it would have been at some point like 500 years ago if someone said let's make slavery illegal. People would be like, no. But then look what happens, 400 or 500 years later, it happened, right? So who knows? 500 years from now, who knows? Who knows? Hope that answers your question. Oh, we've got a good question, have we, Annie, from Prozacs? Where is it? Oh, I see it. I'm vegan for 6 months now, however, still feeding my two dogs meat, which I really want to stop doing. Any good sources for how to keep a dog healthy on a plant based diet? Prosax, yes, I am actually working with a company that does plant based vegan dog food. It's called OmniPet. That's OMNI Pet. These guys are actually doing cell based meat, actually, so like lab meat for cats as well. This is something new they're generating, that they're developing. And also, if you go with them, and use my promo code RAMS50, RAMMS, all capitals 50, you get 50% off your first order. You could try dogs with that. Obviously, there are other companies doing the same thing. There's VDog is another one, so you could try that too. And the good thing about it is, I mean, they're nutritionally adequate, so your dogs are going to be healthy. You just got to find the one that they like. So I don't know if they're doing kibble or if they're doing something different or whatever. But OmniDog, yeah, OmniPet is a good place to start. You could check them out. And like I say, you get 50% off your first order. So that's a pretty good deal. Try it out, see if they like it. And as far as I can see, so I mean, the research is in, right? The studies are in that dogs can be perfectly healthy eating plant-based food, and that's established now. That's all good. With cats, it's a whole different story, which is why they're developing lab meat for cats instead of trying to do the other ways. But for dogs, it's all set. It's sorted. Your dog can be perfectly healthy eating plant-based. There's that follow-up question we were waiting for from Ostermazer. How could you not consider yourself a murderer despite still contributing to killing of animals that don't want to die? Because I'm not paying people to kill animals, I'm paying people to grow vegetables. I don't know who is or isn't going out and killing animals, but what I do know is you don't need to kill animals to grow vegetables. Unfortunately, some farmers do that of their own accord, and that's something that we need to change. On the flip side of it, if you're eating meat, if you're eating dairy, if you're eating eggs, you physically are paying farmers to do those things. That these farmers will not do those things to animals unless you pay for those animals. When you put the money up forward, you're saying, I want that animal to be mutilated and I want them to be killed. Because that's what animal products come from. When you buy a vegetable, that's not what you're saying at all. You're saying, grow me a vegetable. That's it, grow me a vegetable. There's no need to kill animals for vegetables, right? So it's a whole different thing. But anyway, on that topic, though, Ostermazer, what I would say is I'll be more likely to have a proper conversation with you about this if you are already vegan, right? Because this is a conversation vegans should have with vegans. Like, oh, vegans, let's talk. What do we do about plant agriculture? What do we do about vegetables? Because We've gotten rid of all of that violence, right? But there's still some violence to animals in the crop industry, the plant industry. How do we fix that, vegans? What I won't do is have that discussion with somebody who actively pays people to stab animals in the throat. So, Ostamaza, I appreciate the question. I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying, before asking a question like that, ask yourself, why are you asking this question? It's a deflection, right? You're trying to escape the fact that I'm right about the animal agriculture, I'm right about meat, dairy, eggs, and you're trying to look for hypocrisy in me. But if you truly believed in the question you were asking, if you truly believe I'm a murderer, right, then you have to believe that you definitely are, and that you're doing a lot more murder than I am, right? So you see what I mean? So you can't call hypocrisy on me without calling hypocrisy on yourself. So the first point of call for you is to become a vegan. Then we can talk about the other things that you're bringing up there. You know what I mean? At least we can talk about it in a more complex sense anyway, and it can be more of like a more of a podcast discussion type thing. You know, a longer conversation is what I'm trying to say. Hope that makes sense. 995 says, "Why are you only answering the vegan questions? Pretty lame, bro. Dude, are you blind and deaf? Deaf? Are you blind and deaf? Are you both? Are you struggling to follow? I've literally done about mostly meat eater questions today, mostly, and that's what I'm here for. So I don't know what's going on there, mate. You must be in. You must be. I don't know. Maybe you're delayed or something. I don't know. Chilliton Etcher says, "Are you aware of pests?" Thank you for the super chat, mate. I'm not 100% sure what you're asking there, but yeah, I mean, just on yes, I'm aware of pests. What are you trying to ask? Follow up and let me know. Oh no, Mr. Chip is coming in and calling me a little troublemaking C word. Oh no, you shouldn't use that, mate. Did you kiss your mum with that mouth? Disgusting. Oh my goodness. Ben saying soy is terrible for you. Man-made rubbish. That's not true. Soy is not terrible for you at all. There's no study that will show that for you. Actually, I've told you already the health outcomes of people who consume soy as a protein source are pretty solid. There's nothing wrong with eating soy. Don't listen to propaganda. Don't listen to nonsense from people who make money out of trying to make you buy their products, try to make you buy their books, trying to make you buy their supplements. Don't do that. I don't make any money. I don't sell anything here. I have the vegan dog food as like a sponsor, but I don't make any money if you guys go vegan. And I'm not trying to sell you any supplements or anything like that, all right? And I don't make anything. If you guys go eat soy, I don't make any money, okay? Soy's fine. Go eat soy. Yeah. RR says, been having soy for years, work out almost daily, no issues here. Yeah. Soy is a staple part of a lot of people's diets over in Asia, for example, and there's a lot of people in the massive area, and they've been eating soy for a long time, so no problem at all. Sayantan's asking me about in India. I got tofu for 200 grams of tofu for 84 cents, and it tastes extremely foul and salty. I grilled it in oil with no salt, and it's not even expired. I'm sorry to hear about your bad tofu experience. Try a different brand of tofu. Maybe it was a bad one. And stop spamming that message, please, Sayantan. It's I've seen it like a million times at this point. Okay, I'm sorry about your bad tofu experience, but that's I don't know what you want me to say or do about that. Try a different company, try a different brand. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry you had a bad tofu experience. I truly am. Simon, Christspiracy is not available yet. It will be soon. Christspiracy will be streaming soon. So for those just joining, I've been vegan, yeah, as Lee's mentioning. Thanks, Lee. I've been vegan myself for around 14 years, probably coming on to 15 years right now. And ask me some questions about it. No problem at all. Alex Fenn is asking raw milk or raw organs. No, I'm not a that was the word I was going to use there, but we'll go a little softer today. No, I'm not sick in the head. So no, I don't consume either of those things. I don't believe in abusing animals to eat their raw organs. That's something I don't do. Actually, that's most people that don't do that as well. So all good. David has admitted he causes trouble with not knowing what he's rabbiting on with. I don't even know what that means, Chip. I never heard someone say rabbiting. Did you mean rambling? Yeah, try again, bro. funny. I think did you come over from Mel and Steve? It's nice that we're seeing the regular trolls. There was a Mel and Steve have a Mel and Steve are another YouTubers by the way. Go check them out, Mel and Steve, and they have some pretty regular trolls on there. I'm glad I'm picking up some regulars on my side now. That's nice. It's Cheska Love. Thank you for asking this question. Why don't vegans eat eggs? Vegans don't eat eggs for the same reason vegans don't eat other animal products, is because eggs come from animal abuse, right? So here, let me tell you the life of a chicken. So chickens in the wild, yeah? Chickens in the wild, like a wild chicken that you would have seen around and still see around, they lay between 12 and 14 eggs a year. 12 and 14 eggs, that's it. That's all they lay per year. Chickens in the egg industry, they're laying 300 in a year. That completely wrecks their bodies. It's horrible. And they've got this through selectively breeding them. Okay, so they're not the chickens in a farm. They're not wild chickens anymore. They're now man-made, manipulated chickens. Okay, that's what they are now. So that's their situation. A lot of them, they can't walk properly because they're so heavy. Their legs are all buckled. They die on their faces in these farms, just lying there dying slowly in a lot of these places, just diseased and covered in their own feces and urine. It's disgusting. Okay, now on top of that, when they have chicks in the egg industry, when there are little chicks born, so all the females, they'll go into these farms to go and lay eggs. All the males are thrown into a giant macerator, which is a blender, okay, like a giant blender that's kind of like this, and they blend them alive. It's absolutely horrific. They've been alive for 1 to 2 minutes and they blend them alive. They do that, or they drown them, or they suffocate them. Can you believe that? One literally couple minute old male chicks, disgusting. Okay, so all that's happening, and then when these chickens don't lay as many eggs anymore, so they're not as productive, they're not productive enough for the farmer, so the farmer sends them to a slaughterhouse where they'll be dunked in electrified water, okay, and then they'll have their throat slit. So they'll be electrified and then they'll have their throat slit. That's the egg industry. That's why vegans don't eat eggs. We don't eat eggs because we think that's wrong. It is wrong. We don't believe in using animals. We don't believe in doing or anything like this to animals for something like eggs or meat or dairy, because they're not things. Animals aren't things for us to take from and use as we please, right? That's not what they are. Even a chicken with a tiny little brain, even a chicken, there's a little person in there. There's a little person inside, an individual. Chickens have preferences, they have dislikes, they feel pain, they feel happiness, they feel sadness. They have a lot of the properties, and in fact, all of the properties, they have all of these attributes that when we put these in a human, which we have like children, right, which are like the same, like very young children at the same level of understanding as a chicken, we defend the child because they're so vulnerable, because they're so innocent. But when it comes to the chicken, we do this to them because they're so vulnerable, because they're so innocent. How horrible is that? So that's why. And thank you. I saw you followed up there and said you didn't know that. You said you have a point, and I didn't know that. Thank you, Cheska. I appreciate you open-mindedness here, and please feel free to stick around and ask more questions. Subscribe to the channel as well, and yeah, you're in the right place. If you want to learn about the truth about what we do to animals, and please stay here and stay around the channel. So I see this Viable's been asking multiple times to answer your question. I don't see your question, mate. Post your question, and I'll try to answer it. Sin Royal, did you just compare chickens to children? Yes, that's so a comparison. Okay, comparing one thing to the other is not the same as equating them. Okay, so I'm not saying chickens are the same as children, because they're not, are they? Let's be honest, they're not. But both of them have attributes, both of them have things that you can compare. For example, a child, like a baby, doesn't understand the world very much, doesn't speak any language we can understand, is vulnerable, defenseless, and innocent, feels pain and suffers, okay? And we defend the baby because they're so vulnerable, so innocent. A chicken doesn't understand the world, completely vulnerable, completely innocent. We can do whatever we want to them. They're completely defenseless, but then we kill them for that, or we use them for that, or we abuse them for that. So there is a comparison to be made in how we treat a baby and how we treat a chicken. And what's the major difference? Oh, just because this one's not a human, so that we can do all those horrible things to them. But doesn't make any sense, does it? They feel pain, that's important. they are vulnerable and innocent and defenseless. That's extremely important. Who cares if they're not a human? Why, just because of the body they were born in, they deserve to be punished? Why? Were you going to punish them because they were born with feathers instead of skin? You're going to punish them for that because you're going to punish a cow because they were born with horns instead of whatever, instead of a soft baby head. You know what I mean? It's a ridiculous thing to make to just decide one gets to be abused and violence and the other one gets to be defended because the baby was born with the right skin and the right species, right? But the cow or the chicken or the pig, they were born in the wrong species. They were born in the wrong species, so then I'm going to kill them for that. I'm going to kill them. I don't care if they feel pain. I don't care if they have likes and dislikes. I don't care if, just like the baby, they can't stop me and they're completely vulnerable. I don't care. They're not a human, so screw them. Let's go and be violent to them and then eat them. You know, I don't believe that, and I don't believe most people believe that. That is horrible, and I refuse to accept that this is the way people see animals. I refuse to accept that. And that's why I sit here and talk to you guys, because I believe in the good in people, and I believe that people don't en masse think that about animals. But that's how they act. People act that way. When every time you buy an animal product, you're saying, I think that. You're saying, screw them. You say, I don't care, screw them. They're not human, so they deserve violence. Every time you buy a piece of meat, every time you buy eggs, every time you buy milk, every time you buy all these things, that's what you do. That's what you're saying. You're saying they deserve violence, they deserve abuse because they weren't born in the right species. I don't think you guys believe that. Some of you might, but I think most people don't. Most people do not believe that. And that's why we're out here. That's why I'm here to talk to you. Okay, what's this? If you guys have a question, send me a question. I see some drama in the chat. I see someone talking about plant lives matter. Is there a question there? If you want to ask me a question about plants, ask me a question about plants. I'll answer it if you like. Why do you think so many vegans fail on the diet? So many activists, health influencers, and philosophers have failed on the diet. So that's not true. The majority of people don't fail eating plant-based. The only people you'll see who fail happen to be people who have YouTubes or people who go and do an article in the Daily Mail, which, right, how many of them have you seen? I mean, yeah, there's some, and some of them go viral or whatever, but there are also hundreds of thousands of other people who haven't done that, right? So it might seem like, oh, so many people fail, so many people quit eating plant-based, so many people. It's not that many people, all right? You're talking about like the YouTubers and, like I said, the people who go to the media. That's a small, tiny percentage. But what happens to them anyway? Why do they? A lot of these people are attention seekers and clout chasers. They made money out of the plant-based world. And if you'll notice, right, when veganism was super trendy, or not veganism, but when plant-based was super trendy, remember that? Plant-based, it's really trendy, everyone's doing it, there's a lot of money to be made here, back in like 2019 or whatever, then nobody was leaving then, or not many people, right? Not many people were quitting the plant-based diet back then, were they, right? But then things calmed down a little bit, it's not as trendy anymore, there's not as much money to be made in it anymore. So all of a sudden, there's all these people who are all of a sudden going on carnivore podcasts and stuff like that. Yeah, weird coincidence, right? Weird coincidence. Like, so just follow the money, guys. There was a lot of money in to squeeze out of the vegan world back in like 2019, and as things were booming a bit more. There's not as much money to squeeze out of it now, so people just, all the people who are in it to just make money and just fake or whatever, they all go and do something else and look for new ways to make money. So just don't buy into these YouTubers and stuff like that. Honestly, it's nonsense most of the time. All right, questions, guys. Meebop, are there any vegan books or documentaries you would recommend? Yes, Meebop, there's a documentary right here on YouTube called Dominion. Okay, go watch Dominion right here on YouTube for free right now. That is an incredible documentary, and it will teach you everything you need to know about the way we treat animals, about the way animal systems work, about the way the farms work, everything, okay? Another documentary you can watch is the one on my t-shirt. It's called Pignorant. Pignorant, it's on Amazon Prime and it's on Tubi. If you're in the USA, Australia, Canada, it's on Tubi for free completely. Other countries, you'll be able to get it in some countries on Amazon Prime. On Amazon Prime, you'll get a 30-day free trial if you don't have it already, and you could watch it for free. That's Pignorant. Go watch that. It's about the pork industry, okay? Um, and me is asking, if I was to save chickens from a factory farm and give them a happy life in my garden, wouldn't it be a waste to let the unfertilized eggs rot? Me, actually, a lot of good question, by the way. A lot of people don't know this, but chickens will eat their own eggs. Because these chickens you'll have saved from a farm, they lay so many eggs, so they're losing a lot of nutrition because they keep on producing these eggs. So the best thing you can do is take those eggs, mash them up. You could even mix them with oats, and then you give that to the chickens and they'll eat it. Okay, so you don't want to be taking those eggs from them and eating them because that's actually that's valuable nutrition for them that you don't need, but they actually will massively appreciate. So as I said, crunch the eggs up, including the shells, mash it up, boom, 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 mix it with something oats or whatever, put it down for them, they'll eat it and they'll be healthier for it. Thank you for the question, appreciate it. All right, Watermelon Cat says stop yapping. Dude, it's my live stream on my channel. You stop yapping. What a weird thing to come here and tell somebody to stop yapping. It's like scroll on by if you don't like it. Callum, I have a big juicy burger and I'm gonna shove it up in your mouth. Callum, honestly, mate, sounds a bit like a euphemism. That I'm a bit worried for you. But you know, I don't judge. I'm, LGBT positive, whatever you're into, mate. Just not for me though, right? You do you, but just keep it away from my mouth. You know what I'm saying? Um, 1995 is asking, do you think veganism should be forced by law? I already answered that earlier, but I'll briefly answer it again. I think maybe in some hundreds of years from now, the people of that age can decide that. If most people want that, then that will most likely happen. Just the way that in the past, most people wanted murder to be illegal. So then we made murder illegal. Right now, it's not feasible. It wouldn't happen. So there's no point me giving my opinion on it. But the future people, they might make it happen. Yeah. Do you know, Seema says, do you know of any humorous or comedic vegan channels or any ideas on making more humorous vegan content to reach a wider audience? Um, I know that the Lifting Vegan Logic used to do more comedy stuff, but not anymore. I also have, if you go back through my channel, my videos, there's some stuff I used to do that was more comedy and entertaining, but off the top of my head, I don't know of many others. So, but they're definitely out there, yeah. Django. I've been vegan for 6 years and also a musician. Nobody talks about animal use for music instruments. Do you have any information on it about boha and skin glue? I don't have a lot of information about instruments, to be totally honest with you. I'm sure someone out there does. It's worth a Google for sure. I'm not in the market of like buying lots of instruments, especially not instruments that would have animal products in them. Like I play guitar, and guitars tend not to have any problems with that. But yeah, if you're playing violin and stuff, I know that there's some stuff with the bows and things. But honestly, I've never really put much thought to it, to be honest with you. So maybe that's something you could do. You could do a project maybe as a vegan musician. That would be really cool. And you could release that out and everybody else could use it. That'd be really nice. Cheers for the question. Good question. All right, what else we got? What else we got? Guys, put my name, if you have a question, put my name, David Ramsden, and then ask a question. I see it's 68%, 66% of you are not vegan here. So let's ask some questions to me. I'll answer them for you. That's what I'm here for. I've been vegan for about 14 years, guys. So you're in the right place to ask questions. Sean is asking me, please tell me, have you ever eaten meat? Um, sure. Yeah, I did it only once on purpose, and maybe two times by accident. And the one on purpose was when I was maybe 12, maybe 11, and I had one bite, and I didn't want to eat it anymore, and that was that because I was born and raised vegetarian. But aside from that, no. Okay, Cheska asks, was it hard when you started? I started well because I was raised vegetarian. I spent my whole life being used to looking and eating in certain ways, eating differently to everybody else, and making sure I didn't eat any meat. So for me, when I first went vegan, I mean, sure, avoiding cheese was pretty difficult because vegetarian food, all of it has cheese in, right? So pretty much everything I was eating had cheese in. Learning how to eat without cheese in it was pretty difficult in the beginning. But the thing is, after a couple of weeks of doing something, it becomes a new habit, right? Like when you get a new house or a new job or you go to a new school or whatever, at first you're terrified and everything's confusing and you're like, oh my god, this sucks, and but then after a couple of weeks it gets a flow, you know what I mean? Things get more easy, things get more flow to them, and then you just adapt and you become comfortable and you get used to it, right? So that's the same with becoming vegan. You learn about the food first of all, you fix that stuff, you're like, okay, my food's set, and after a couple of weeks of eating, you make sure you're getting the right calories, make sure you're hitting your nutritional, and then you see where the nutrition comes from, and you know where to get more calories and how to replace the calories from the other products and where to do this and that. And once you get all that set, you just you just live normally. You just eat plant based. Now that's it. Super easy. And then you're constantly learning too. You'll look at food or you'll look at some product and you'll do a bit of research and you'll go, oh my god, I didn't know that this company tested on animals, you know. And then so you know, okay, I'm not going to support them anymore. And it's just a continuous learning process, and it's good because before being a vegan, I didn't eat meat, but I was pretty hopeless on everything else, you know. Like a lot of people go through life just mindlessly buying things, just mindlessly, oh, I'll just get this thing because I like it. I'll just get that thing because I like it. I'll get without even thinking about where things come from. And do you agree with this company? Do you agree with how that product came to the shelf? And do you, when you become a vegan, you put a lot of emphasis on like, okay, you know, what happened here was an animal hurt here, was an animal abused here, and then and that you know it changes a lot in your life, and it's a good change. Hey, Chilton asked a follow-up question earlier. Thanks for the super chat. It says farmers kill thousands of pests for veggies to grow. We've already been through that one, Chilton, but I will answer you again because you sent it through a super chat. I'll answer that question again. Farmers are killing pests. Let's just pretend that's like 100% true. Like yes, they do, but it's you know the numbers, people put the numbers into like crazy amounts, but whatever. Yes, there is some amount of that going on. But most of the farmers killing pests for crops, they're growing those crops to feed animals, to then kill those animals and feed to people, right? So if you care about farmers and the pests in the fields, eating plant-based is still better than eating animal-based and feeding 80 billion animals with crops and then killing those animals too, okay? Cheers for the question. Hope that explains that one. Veg90, vegans work around non-vegan ag. Unfair to blame VG. I don't, Veg90, maybe I missed that, mate. Could you maybe pop that in the live chat and kind of explain what you were getting at there? Thank you for the super chat, by the way, mate. Appreciate it. I just missed the point. Ugh. 1995 is asking, do you regret trying meat and what made you change? Well, yeah, of course I regretted it. See, because I was born vegetarian, I was a child and I was curious, and my friends were pushing me and pressuring me, and I gave into the pressure, and yeah, of course I regret it. I didn't. It was a hot dog. It was disgusting, and you know, knowing that hot dog, that piece of meat came from a pig who had begged for their life, and you know was most likely gassed to death because that's how they kill pigs. No, it was horrible. Yeah, no, of course I regret that. What made me go vegan was a number of things, but you know, at the time, my mum was actually vegan before me, and she'd spoken to me about what happens in the dairy industry, the egg industry, and so that was going around my head. At the same time, I was also I was feeling some issues, like I was having some stomach issues with some dairy products and things, and it just kind of all came together to be like, wait a minute, okay, I'm eating and drinking milk, and and I feel like why is it making me feel bad? Milk started to make me feel bad, and why is it making me feel bad? Then I realized that I am not a cow. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a cow, so I'm not a baby cow. Why am I drinking milk in the first place? And that's most likely why I'm having a problem with it because I'm not a baby cow. Like this is crazy. And then from then on, I realized there was also ethical problems and like everything I've discussed today, when how they abuse these animals and mutilate these animals, and it all just made sense for me after that. And I decided, you know what? No more animal products. I'm done with this. Like, it's all horrible. This whole system's horrible. It's wrong. It's not needed. There's no need for any of it. I'm going to be a vegan, and that's how I came to the conclusion. Thank you for the question, mate. I saw another question about Seema's asking, do you accept Bitcoin for donations? Yeah, sure. I've got wallets, and if you yeah, thank you for the offer. I do. You could drop me an email at if you are serious. By the way, I can't tell who's trolling and who's being serious, but you could drop me an email. It's davidrams@gmail.com, and we can chat about that if you're interested in supporting the work I do. Thank you, and apologies if you're not a troll. I find it hard to tell who's messing with me and who's seriously supportive sometimes in here. It's tricky, but thank you for the offer. If it's a sincere offer, drop me an email. Annie, you could pop my email in. Thank you, appreciate it. Nice one. Um, okay, other questions. Path, I'm not answering. You can spam it all you want. We're not talking about antinatalism here today, but actually don't spam it, please. Yeah, don't spam all you want. You'll get timed out. But yeah, I'm just saying you're probably not going to get it. Meebot, what are some common misconceptions of veganism that you'd like to debunk? I think the number one misconception I see about veganism, that it comes up especially with men. They say that, oh, veganism is feminine, and it's not masculine. It's weak. It's like, you know, pussies go vegan, stuff like that. That's like one of the things. Like, I don't know if it's the most common one, but it's the one that annoys me the most, because it's the idea that, oh, okay, eating meat is manly. That's what people say, right? Eating meat is manly. So wait, you're telling me that killing some innocent animal, an animal who can't defend themselves, that's manly? Like, I was under the impression that being a man and being a masculine was about using your strength to protect the weak, using your strength to defend people, to defend others who can't defend themselves, like animals. Like, when we see a man who goes out and rescues a dog, out of like some imagine a dog in a river, and a man goes in and he grabs the dog and he saves him from drowning. We all say, wow, what a masculine, brave man, what a courageous man, right? Like, that's super masculine, and we're all like, yeah, you know. So then on the other hand, though, people say, oh, killing animals is also masculine. Like, what? No, it isn't. Killing innocent, defenseless animals is not a masculine thing to do. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Like, oh, real men eat meat. It's like, no, they don't. They absolutely don't. Real men stand up for the defenseless. Real men get out there and fight for those who can't fight for themselves. That's what it's about, right? So that's one of the biggest misconceptions that bugs me. So don't fall for that, guys. If you're in here and you're a man, don't let people tell you, if you're gonna go vegan, don't let people tell you that it's some wimpy pussy thing to do. It is not. Let me tell you something. One of the most courageous things you can do is stand up and speak up and do something that no one else is doing. You stand up and you say, hey, this is wrong. 99% of you, like all these thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people are all looking at you and saying you're wrong, and you stand up and you go, no, do you know what? You're all wrong. That's coward. That's not cowardly. Jesus, that's courageous. Oh my lord, that's courageous. I ruined my own inspirational speech there by getting a word wrong. Damn. Anyway, you get the point. All right. Courage is standing up for what's right, despite the fact that millions of people are telling you you're wrong. That's what it's all about. Okay. Stop laughing at me, Josh. All right, live streams, a lot of pressure in live streams, okay? You can't be perfect all the time, okay? Sometimes it's going to slip. All right. 1995. Cheers for all these questions, 1995. I'm glad to see you asking questions. Let's say we stopped meat eating forever. Don't you think we are going to have too many animals? That would be the case if farmers kept on breeding animals after everybody stopped eating meat. Because the only reason there are so many animals is because farmers breed them, right? They're creating animals. They're artificially inseminating them. Okay, so if people stop paying them to do this, they won't do this. So there won't be too many animals, because the only reason there are so many animals is because they create those animals. So no, the answer is no. There won't be too many animals. That's not how it will go. Cheers for the question. Good question. Me says, why would someone become vegetarian? Do the dairy products come from cows who suffer? So yes, they do. Dairy products, the dairy industry, honestly, in ways, is worse than the meat industry. Actually, the dairy industry is the meat industry with extra steps. Okay, they do more to animals. Because in the meat industry, here's what happens, right? They breed animals, artificially inseminate animals, shove their arms inside them, inject them with semen, and make them have babies. And then they get those babies a bit bigger, and then they kill them. They shoot them in the head, they slit their throats, they gas them to death. Okay, this is what they do to animals in the meat industry. The dairy industry, on the other hand, so what they do is the same system. They shove their hands inside animals, inject them with semen, make them have babies, take those babies away. If the baby's a male, they'll kill the baby for meat right away. If the baby's a female, then that female will be put into the milking system. Okay, so they just repeat this process over and over again, and then when the mother, the cow that's producing all the milk, when she starts to get less milk, she gives less milk, then they send her to the slaughterhouse. She's shot in the head and they slit her throat, and then she goes into the meat industry. The dairy industry is the meat industry with extra abuse, with extra manipulation and mutilation and violence. Okay, so that's the dairy industry. And the egg industry it's the same situation. The egg industry is the meat industry with more violence, with more abuse, because the egg laying hens, like we discussed, they're laying 300 eggs a year, which destroys their bodies. They're only supposed to lay 12 in the wild. They lay 300. They lose the ability to walk because they get too heavy. It's horrible. They live their entire lives crammed together, thousands of them in these big barns. And then as soon as their egg production declines, as soon as they don't give as many eggs, where do they go? They go into the meat industry, where they're dropped in electrified water and they slit their throats. So that's the eggs and the dairy industry. A lot of people say when they find out about dairy and eggs, they say, actually, that's worse than meat. They always thought that, oh, dairy and eggs is chill, right? Meat is the bad one. Dairy and eggs are the meat industry with other things added on. So a lot of people say, yeah, they're worse, actually. A lot of vegetarians are shocked by that. They can't believe how much worse it is. Like, man, like, I don't know. I was one of those people too. I thought vegetarian, yeah, but it's fine. I don't eat meat. Meat's violent, but eggs and dairy, it's fine. It is not fine. It is more violent, if anything. Cheers for the question. Good question. Appreciate these questions, guys. You're smashing out some good questions. And it's nice, actually, that despite the silly trolls in here, there are still some really good questions being asked by people who are curious, and I think that's really good. If y'all don't like the facts and statistics and think David is telling you what to eat, PA, so are you responding to somebody there? Yeah, this is it. I'm talking about. See, the thing is, right? I don't sit here and tell you what to do because, well, I don't think I have told you what to do once. I've not even said you should go vegan. I've not said that at all. I'm telling you that the facts and the reality of the situation. I'm telling you things that I think you deserve to know, because at the end of the day, you deserve transparency. You deserve to know the truth. Okay? I'm telling you the truth. What you do with that is up to you. I hope you'll go vegan. I really hope you will, because I hope you're all good people, but I can't force you. So there's no point me telling you what to do, is there? I think that you should. I would very much like you to go vegan, but I can't force you to do anything. All I can do is open the door for you and give you this information, can't I? And that's it. You know, that's what I'm trying to do for you today. Man, this chip guy must be a child. I'm not sure. And claiming I got milk in the cup. I do have milk in my cup, by the way. Look at that. It's milk, but it's soy milk. Okay. I saw an interesting question pop up, but where'd it go? Where'd it go? Right. Someone said, if you've never snapped a chicken's neck, don't listen to this. Why would somebody have to snap a chicken's neck to be against animal abuse? That doesn't make any sense. Like, most people haven't snapped a chicken's neck, and that's a good thing, because then most people haven't had to enact an act of violence on an innocent animal. That's a good thing. Cliff Hawkins, is it legit your birthday, mate? If it is your birthday, happy birthday, mate. I hope you'll use your birthday today to announce that you're going to become a vegan. That would be a sweet day to do it, right? Your birthdays. Then every birthday comes around and you can be like, hey, it's my vegan anniversary. How cool is that? It's a great day to go vegan on your birthday. All right. Questions, guys. Put my name and put a question. Path. I'm again not. That's another question I'm not particularly interested in, mate. Minimalism and vegan. It's too philosophically. It's philosophically wanky for me. I'm not going to go down that route. Podcast. It's another podcast question. I'll bring it up maybe with my podcast partner. We'll do it on a different time. Thanks for. I'm not trying to be mean about your question. It's just a bit too intricate to get into on a little live stream here. Put my name if you have a question, guys. Put my name if you have a question, and I'll try and pick it up for you. Oh, Mike is cool. Interesting question, mate. Do you refuse to make friends with meat eaters? I am eating a chicken wing. Does that mean we can never be friends? We have, honestly, right, let me tell you something. People think vegans have something against meat eaters, right? You think that we are your enemies and you know that's how it is. It's not how it is. Now, at the end of the day, I can be friends with meat eaters just the same way as I can be friends with lots of different people who have lots of different beliefs that are different than me, right? But if you disrespect me, then we're not going to be friends, are we? Right? So imagine this, right? Let's take it away from veganism for a second to help you understand. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but there is such a thing as chocolate, like slave chocolate. There are like slave children who work in the chocolate industry in the countries where the cocoa beans come from, okay? Now imagine if you were an activist, you were somebody who goes out to Africa and you're working with the people on the ground and you're trying to help these children and you come home and all your friends know that you're one of these people that stands up for the chocolate, you know, against the slave chocolate, right? If you went to sit down for dinner with your friends and they pulled out bars of like Cadbury's or whatever, and it comes from those places, and they know you've told them about this, they wouldn't be your friend, would they? They're disrespecting you. Now, you would still be friends with them if they ate that stuff, but if they're doing it in front of you, knowing what you stand for, what kind of friend does that? You'd expect them to respect you and to at least not do the thing that you're fighting against in front of you. Okay, so vegans can we lots of vegans are friends with meat eaters. Vegans work with meat eaters, but we expect a little bit of respect. It's like if you're not going to be a vegan, that sucks. But as I said, at the base level, just have respect for the people you work with, have respect for the people you're supposed to be friends with or that you're supposed to be in family with, right? So there's the answer to that. I think that makes complete sense. I had something else to say, but it's gone. But yeah, there's your answer, Mike. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say. It's not like vegans hate meat eaters. Vegans don't hate meat eaters. Vegans hate the system. They hate the people, the millionaires that have created a system of lies and hidden truths that make people want to eat meat because they think they need it for protein, they think they need milk for calcium, they think they need all these things. It's all lies that millionaires have created to keep you buying their products. Okay, I as a vegan don't hate you as a meat eater. I hate those people, those scumbags who are lying to you, deceiving you, making fools of you. And I hate the fact that I've got to sit here and spend all this time trying to convince you that they are the bad guys, not me. Like, this sucks. Meat eaters and vegans should be able to be talk and be able to get to the bottom of this together because we have so much more in common with each other than you have with the millionaires who are making a fool of you by taking your money for making you pay for animal abuse, right? They think you're stupid. These people, these millionaires, billionaires, made so much money from people like you because they trick you into thinking it's not animal abuse. They trick you into thinking you need it for protein or whatever. And then vegans come along and say, hey, these people are lying to you. You're paying for animal abuse. You're paying for all this stuff. And you don't need meat for protein. You don't need these things. And you attack the vegans instead of attacking the people who've been lying to you for over 50 years. Lying to your parents and lying to your grandparents. It sucks, right? We shouldn't be the ones that are fighting. You should be with us fighting against those people. We have so much in common. Take away veganism, okay? Take away the fact that I'm a vegan. You and I, we both have to make rent, okay? We both have family and friends that we care about. We're both living lives where we don't have everything given to us. We don't have millions in the bank. We don't have easy lives, right? We're all trying to get by. Do you know who does have an easy life? Do you know who does have a lot of money in the bank? The people who've been tricking you and your parents and your grandparents for years and years and years to keep on lining their pockets, buying their products, telling you you'll die if you don't eat meat, telling you you need milk for calcium, you'll get bad bones if you don't drink the milk. All these lies, and they are off to buy their next mansion. They're off to buy their next sports car because of all these lies. And then I come here and tell you about all these lies, and I'm the one that gets attacked. It's crazy, right? I hate that, but I don't hate you. I don't hate you. I hate those people that have done this to you and your families and millions more people all over the world. That's who I hate. And I think that's a good, they're good people to hate. Bob's asking, do you think more men would be open to being vegan if there was less of an appeal to emotions instead of telling and instead telling people what's in it for them? Um, so there's an interesting point there, in that, well, first of all, you don't need to appeal to emotions. You don't need to be emotional to convince somebody as to why they should be vegan. It's a very logical decision. You don't you respect life. You respect that an animal has a life and has pain and suffers. These are all facts. Okay? And if you're against animal abuse, you won't pay for it. None of that's emotional. Now we can talk about emotional. We can talk about the fact that they feel they hurt, the pain they go through. We can talk about the fear. We can say, imagine if you were them. We can, so then that's emotional. But it's just the other, what I've just said is factual. So yeah, and we already do speak about the facts, but telling people what's in it for them, though, this is then creating. I mean, there is a way you can tell people what's in it for them without actually straying away from the fact that it's the reason to be a vegan is because of the animal, right? So, for example, you can tell somebody, like, people feel guilty, people feel bad about animal cruelty, right? They feel guilty about it. You can solve the guilt, you can get rid of that feeling inside, and you can have meals and you can enjoy life knowing that you're not funding pigs being gassed to death in gas chambers, animals shot in the head and having their throats slashed open. You can have a life knowing you're not funding that, and that will feel good, won't it? I mean, it does objectively. Of course, it feels good. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's any such thing as a selfless good deed. All good deeds, everything you do that's good for somebody else, it makes you feel good, and that's fine. That's fine, and this is no different. When you do something good for animals, you feel good. So in a way, yeah, that's what's in it for you. What's in it for you is that you have the feeling of, I'm doing the right thing, and there's it always feels good. There's no way to deny that, right? Um, Anyone who tries to deny that is lying to themselves. Even, help the homeless. People don't help the homeless just because they care for the homeless. They help the homeless because they get a good feeling from it. If they didn't get a good feeling from it, they'd still get a good feeling from it. If it hurt, if it physically caused you pain to help the homeless, it would still feel good afterwards because you would feel accomplished, right? It's how our brains work, okay? And so that's what's in it for you. If you're going to talk about what's in it for you, right? Helping animals makes you feel good about helping animals. It's like a circular thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I hope that made sense. It's an interesting thought, like I've thought about before, but I'll try and come back around to it another time and do like an individual video about it. 1995. Are you the type of vegan that goes out and does blockades? And if yes, do you feel it's okay? Blockades is in what, like blocking a slaughterhouse, or something like that, like going inside and blockading or blockading a farm. I've done not a slaughterhouse, but I've done some things like that. Yeah. Do I think it's okay? Um, well, I would do the same. I mean, look, put it this way, okay? 1995. Would you blockade a place that was abusing dogs? Would you get a team together and go and try and blockade them? Would you try and get into a place that was abusing dogs and rescue the dogs? Would you break windows? Would you break the door down? I think you probably would, right? Most people would. When it comes to dogs or cats, if you found out there was a place that was doing horrible things to dogs, you'd probably get in there with a group. You'd try and get a group together. You'd get in there. You'd break stuff down. Blah blah blah. Now, I don't even do that. I don't break down anyone's doors or anything like that. I've never done anything like that. But yeah, sometimes we do protests up to these places. We block the entrance, and we'll hold the place closed for as long as possible to make a statement, a political statement, and to try and get the media to cover it, and to try and make a bit of an impact and get people to pay attention to these places and expose them, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Just like when you go to on Twitter, for example, when there's like an image or a video of someone who was hurting a dog or hurting a cat, right? Go and look at the comments. Look what people say. Look what people say should be done to those people. It's insane, right? The kind of creative things they come up with, of things they fantasize about doing to this animal abuser, it's insane. Okay, as vegans, we don't even do that much. I mean, I don't do that, and I know other vegans don't do that. But if you ever see a vegan doing it, or you see a vegan doing something extreme, just remember how extreme people get when it comes to people who abuse dogs or cats. It's a double standard people have. People get upset when vegans will blockade a store or protest a farm or a slaughterhouse. Those same people who are upset about that will be telling somebody to go and jump off a bridge because they kicked a dog. See what I'm saying? So it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's situational, isn't it? People's levels of what is and isn't extreme just shifts depending on the animal they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? For sure. But yeah, good questions. Good questions you guys are asking. Perspective. That's it. It's perspective. People's perspective shifts when it's cows and chickens and pigs. They're like, oh no, you should just leave those people to abuse those animals. When it's dogs and cats, they're like, we need to go in and break in. We need to go beat that person up. You know what I mean? It's a massive hypocrisy that we have in society for sure. What time are we on right now? I've got a little bit longer. Let's go a little bit longer. Guys, meat eaters in the chat. 70% of you guys are meat eaters. Put my name and ask a question, guys. I'm looking for some questions from you, from the meat eaters. Ideally, because that's what we're here for. We're here to answer questions from you guys. This is your time to do it. You know, it's been quite nice today. We've had no spiciness. All right, so don't worry. Nothing's gonna go wrong. Everything's fine. Celeste is saying, "Oh my god, I just a pig today, so yummy." You just a pig today. You just a pig today. Nice fail, bro. People, it's funny because the trolls get so excited about the comment that they're not even able to, you know, so silly. Hey Ben, cheers for subscribing, man. Appreciate that. Welcome to the team, mate. Welcome to the channel. Hope to see you around some more, dude. Get involved in the chats. Let me know what you think of the videos, all that good stuff. Love that. And keep coming back to the streams, Ben. You're very welcome, mate. Do you use beard dye? No, man. I got like a ginger beard. Look at that. But the funny thing is my hair isn't ginger. If you look, my hair's like, look at that. Completely different colors. Isn't that weird? Totally. It's so strange. Yeah. No other ginger on my body. Just here in the beard. Don't know. Some old school, I don't know, some Scottish in me or something. I'm not sure, honestly. Hey David, what is your thought about Christianity and veganism? Do they intertwine? Omar is asking. Omar, that's a really interesting question. Look, I don't know about intertwining, but every religion is compatible with being against animal abuse, right? So if you're a Christian, do not kill. It's right there in your commandments, right? Don't kill animals. Now, there's obviously the Bible is very contradictive and there's lots of interpretations, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, you can be a good Christian and you can be a vegan. There's nothing wrong with it at all. You can be against animal abuse and be a Christian. You can be a vegan, you can be a Muslim. You can be a vegan and a Hindu. You can be a vegan and a Jew. It doesn't matter. All of it is fine. There's no texts or anything. Even with Islam, people think that, oh, but they have animal sacrifice, right? You have to sacrifice an animal. No, you don't. You have to make a sacrifice, and historically they used animals, but you don't need to do it now, right? So you don't have to. They can do money instead. They can actually donate money or charity instead of killing an animal in Islam, for example, right? So every religion, and any religion that considers itself to be peaceful, the people of it should be a bloody vegan. There's nothing peaceful about stabbing animals for meat, for burgers, all right? There's nothing peaceful about that. So if you are a religious person and you truly believe your religion is peaceful, you've got to be peaceful to animals too. They've not done anything to deserve violence, right? Jinryu, welcome to the team. That's awesome. You just came here today, right? And now you're here in the team. That's awesome. Welcome. That's really cool. Really happy to have you here, Jinryu. Welcome to the team. Lee, thank you for the super chat, mate. As there is just David and a ton of comments directed at him, if you really want your question to be seen and answered, then do this. Use super chat. Lee, that's a great idea, mate. I'd say there are a ton of comments. If you really want one to pop up for me, as Lee said, use the super chat. And thank you, Lee, you legend. Appreciate that, mate. Lee is a legend, by the way, guys. I know Lee in the real world too, and he's a top guy. Top guy. Thanks, Lee, mate. Viable's asking, can you please acknowledge that this isn't a self-evident answer and it's complex philosophical moral conundrum that shouldn't be construed as simple and straightforward? I don't know what that's in relation to, Viable, but that was a whole lot of big words. But like, yeah, I don't know what it's in relation to. You'll have to specify. The Pirate Foxy says, sorry, I'm not vegan. Well, the Pirate Foxy, you're in the best place then, mate. Ask me a question about veganism. Ask me anything you got on your mind about animals and veganism, and I'll do my best to answer it for you. Welcome to the stream, by the way. Okay, you guys are all talking to each other. Oh, Meebop, have you ever had to face any obstacles or challenges as a vegan? And if so, how have you managed to overcome them? The only challenge or obstacle that I've experienced as a vegan has been not like with my own life, like, oh, I don't know what to eat or I don't know, not like that. That's all been very straightforward and easy. Because the thing is, when you go vegan, it's not like, oh, it's so hard to be a vegan. No, because you know that the alternative is violence to animals. So there's no alternative. You sort it out. It's not yeah, there might be some like mini challenges like, okay, I've got a long bus ride. What am I going to eat? Well, I'm going to make myself some sandwiches. You know what I mean? It's like whatever. In terms of challenges that I've needed to overcome aside from that, I mean, there's social challenges. People can be a bit, you know, people don't like to understand, they get offended. People get really triggered. When you say I'm a vegan, they get very triggered by that because they feel like you're attacking them. And it's like, no, I'm not attacking you. I'm telling you why I'm a vegan. You ask me why I'm a vegan, I'm telling you why I'm a vegan, then you get offended by that. That's really difficult sometimes. Just people are so defensive because deep down they know that you're doing something good. It's like when all your friends smoke and you quit smoking, a lot of your friends get upset. Or when you quit drinking. Oh my God, like if you quit drinking in a group of friends that drink, they make you feel really horrible for it. They say, oh, you're ruining my night. You're making me feel guilty because they know drinking's not good for you. And they know that when you stop drinking, it makes them feel guilty about drinking, but that's not what you're aiming to do. You're just telling them. You just like you ask the question, right? That's a pretty big obstacle, and you'll see that today in the chat too. You know, some people asked some questions and then got really upset about the answer, and it's like that's you. That's your problem. That's not me. I've not said anything mean. I just answered your question honestly, and gave you some statistics and somewhat statistics. I gave you some facts, and then you got really upset about the facts, and it's like, well, that's, you know what I mean? Wasn't my intention to upset you. I just told you the answer to your question. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the biggest obstacle. Good question. Thank you for the question. I think that's been the trickiest thing to get around. BMO says, how do you break addiction to meat? Very good question. How do you break addiction to meat? Well, it's like anything that you're addicted to. Like, how do people break addiction to smoking? How do they break addiction to drinking? I mean, these things are, you know, these things are as entrenched in people's lives as eating meat is. What do they do? Well, alternatives. A lot of people go for alternatives, right? Alternatives that can satisfy the habits they have that don't involve killing animals. So, for example, there are vegan alternatives to chicken and different meats. You can get vegan versions. You can make vegan versions of them. That helps a lot of people to make the change. They still get the taste, and the taste buds can adapt to something a bit different, but still pretty similar. And then, yeah, you might still, in the beginning, you might have some kind of craving, the same way that, you know, people crave donuts, people crave sugar, people crave chocolate, but you don't give into it because, you know, well, in those cases, you know, it's not good for you. In the case of meat, you know, it's definitely not good for animals, right? Now, you're probably still going to eat the vegan donut because at the end of the day, it's just your health. But when you're eating meat, it's not about your health, it's about an animal. When you eat meat, somebody is hurting an animal. Somebody is abusing an animal when you eat meat, dairy, or eggs, or any animal product. So when you get that in your head and you're like, wait a minute, it's not about me, it's about them, you won't eat it anymore. You won't want to eat it. You'll look at it and you'll say, no, because I'm not going to do that to an animal. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm done with that. And then, you know, that's when it clicks. But the second you make that click, that's when it all changes. And then it's just easy after that. It's easy. Thank you for the question. That's a really good question. Hulk's casting couches. How come when you eat meat, it doesn't show up in your poop, but when you eat veggies, it shows up in your poop? Fiber. There's more fiber in vegetable products. And some of the fiber, some parts of some vegetables, the fiber is not as easily digestible. So sometimes you'll see bits of it, like sweet corn, for example, in the poop, but it's fine. It's perfectly normal. Nothing to worry about. Um, 995 is asking, I just want to know what the F is minimalism and veganism. Minimalism is the idea of having just minimal everything and not spending more than you need, not doing more than you need, stuff like that. I don't know how it connects really with veganism so much. It's more of a philosophical question. That's why I'm not getting into it today. It's hardcore stuff. It's more for like a podcast with somebody who's into that. And, you know, that's not for today. So, okay, viable. We're finally going to get what your thing is. My objection is that you make this seem as self-evident. You're making it seem like it's obvious that murdering animals is immoral. Really, what I'm saying is whether murdering animals is wrong is utterly dependent on deep philosophical morals and isn't simplistic at all. It's very simplistic, viable, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to say that, oh, each individual person has their own morals, okay, so it's individual to each person, it's subjective, okay, fine, I can work with that. Are you against animal cruelty, yes or no? In your own little world where you have your own opinions, your own morals, are you against animal cruelty? If the answer is no, you're not against it, then we're not going to talk. I'm not going to talk to you because why would I try and talk to somebody who is so disgusting that they are happy to abuse animals? That's not the kind of person I'm interested in speaking to. That is not where the most of the world sits, right? But everybody else in the world who has their own moral system and their own way of seeing things, well, they are against animal cruelty. They are against animal abuse. Okay, is killing animals for something in a slow, like the ways we've mentioned, is gassing, shooting, stabbing, dropping in electrified water, shoving your arms inside them, injecting them with hormones, injecting them with antibiotics, killing their babies. Is all of that, doing all of that to animals for things that we don't need, is that abuse? Is that cruelty? Absolutely. Yes, it is. So it really is that simple, mate. No matter what your philosophical take is, it all begins with the first one thing. Are you against animal cruelty? And if you are, then it's set. It's very simple. If you're not, as I said, you're probably quite a scary person. And I'd be concerned about your future because most serial killers started off with abusing animals. And yeah, I'd be concerned to be around anybody like that. So yeah, that's it. Stone Cold Steve Austin is asking, won't you be lacking protein without some meat? That's a common misconception, mate. It's a good question. It's a common misconception. You can get all the protein you need from eating plant-based. They just did a study recently where they showed that people who were doing soy protein, you know, like soy protein powder, versus people who did whey protein powder and they were training, and they found at the end of the study that they had no significant difference in muscle gain. The muscle gain was similar. Okay, so soy protein, good one to do if you're trying to build muscle at the gym. Smash the protein. Plant-based protein is fine. You can get the similar results as you can to animal-based protein. The benefit of the plant-based protein is that you didn't have to go stab any animals. You didn't have to pay anybody to go and stab any animals or abuse any animals in a farm or a slaughterhouse for the protein, which is a good thing. I can tell you my personal situation about 8 months ago, maybe 6 to 8 months ago. I was about 70 kilos. I decided to start going to the gym. I'm like 6'2", by the way, so 70 kilos was a little bit on the lighter side. So I decided to go to the gym, try and bulk up and really commit. I was doing 3,000 calories a day, 180 grams or more protein a day. I went from 70 to 93 kilos. And then I've come down a little bit to 90 now. And I'm about to start on a new system where I'm going to try and get I'm just going to try and just get as like muscular as possible between now and May. I'm going to make a video about that. I'm going to take a photo now, how I am now. I'm going to do another photo in May. And yeah, so that's going to be a project that I'm doing. But I can do all of this because plant-based protein is fine. Plant-based protein is absolutely fine for building muscle. Tons of athletes are plant-based, bodybuilders plant-based, so it is not an issue at all. Cheers for the question, mate. Good question. Smile says, I have soy protein powder, 48 years old, 7 years vegan, stronger and fitter, being vegan than I ever was before. Exactly. Yeah, it's totally possible. Yeah. Yeah, it's been good. It's been a good journey for me with the fitness journey, like learning that I can put on 20 kilos like that. I know there's probably a lot of fat in there, but there was also quite a significant amount of muscle as well. Like I really bulked up, and it just took consistency. It's just consistently eating enough, consistently training. Do those things together, and you'll be smashing it. Will you include your gym diet in the video? Yes, Dom. I will be including the gym diet as well. That'll be included in the video. For sure. That's the point. We'll be doing the video, the diet and the training, macros, all that good stuff will be in there as well. So it's going to be good. I'm excited for it. All right, guys. It's been cool to do this with you guys. If you enjoyed it, if you hate vegans, subscribe. Of course, if you love vegans, subscribe. Everyone should subscribe because, if you hate vegans, you can come and have some fun. You can ask some silly questions. We'll have a bit, we'll have whatever. You know what I mean? It's good fun for you to troll. If you love vegans, then you can come here and help us talk to people who actually want to learn more about veganism. So that's really useful. Thank you for all the vegans who've been in here today helping with that, helping talk to people. Also, everybody who's sent through a super chat, everybody who's sent through Streamlabs tip, thank you guys. Oh, I see Navia saying don't leave us. Listen, Navia, I've already been on for like quite a while at this point, man. It's like 2 hours in, I think. So almost 2 hours in. So I need to give myself a bit of a rest, you see. Can't keep it up all night, you know what I'm saying? I'd like to, but it's closing in on 10 p.m. my time, and I need to get some dinner, get some rest, okay, guys? But don't worry, 2 days, I'll be back. I'm going to do this every other day. And keep an eye out for tomorrow's video, guys. We did a protest at a slaughterhouse where we saw some of the animals going as they're going in. We got to see them in the trucks and film some in the trucks. Also got into a very interesting discussion with some people who worked nearby. It's a very interesting video. It should be up tomorrow, okay, guys? So subscribe, come check out the videos, come to the next live stream. Thanks again, everybody. I'll catch you all in the next one.